Hey everybody, Professor Snart just checking in. I have a bit of a cold. I think we're into cold season number 2 for the year. But just want to walk you through a couple of things here. Obviously, we are just finishing up with the Unit 9, which is fairly simple in terms of the work that you're doing for the unit, but is obviously really crucial as far as the final reading, Death of a Salesman, for the class, which is long but reads fairly quickly, I think, once you get the hang of reading a play. Well, and one of the things to keep in mind is that it can be confusing to read a play because you're not always totally sure exactly who's speaking. You're given a character name, but if you don't know who those people are, it can take a while to figure out who is saying what to whom. And so if you do struggle with that a little bit, and even Death of a Salesman is maybe doubly complicated the first time you read it, if you're not familiar with it, because there's sort of flashbacks or scenes change fairly quickly. And again, if you're not really kind of catching on to like what time period we're in or who exactly is speaking to whom, it can be a little confusing. The easiest thing to do, honestly, is sort of bookmark for yourself maybe that very first page of the play that lists the character names, or just make a little note card for yourself. You know, Willie equals father, Biff equals older son, whatever, something simple like that, just to keep things straight as you're moving through the play. It actually gets very, I wouldn't say simple, but a lot easier to read once you do know the characters and understand the basic, not even plot, but the kind of device that Miller uses, the playwright uses throughout in terms of mixing the present and the past in the play. Once you get used to those things, it actually reads fairly quickly. So we are in Unit 9, just developing some ideas about various themes that were important, so that's fairly simple stuff. And then obviously looking at the final essay assignment that I've talked about already, all of the details are there. And you're beginning to formulate a very tentative topic, even just a basic idea like a particular theme you might be interested in writing about, or a particular work or works you might cover. So very tentative at this point. So if you're not really 100% sure what direction you might want to go, that's actually okay. And I would invite you again to be in pretty regular conversation with me through email or Skype if you happen to see me online, just so you can be talking with me about refining your topic and getting it into a workable thesis. Because it's okay to be still a little tentative, but as you know, of course, we move really quickly in the class, so you don't want to be tentative for too long and end up having to work with a topic that you're not really thrilled with, and or kind of race at the end to do the actual writing and research part of the paper because you spent so long on the topic formulation part. So okay to be tentative at this point, but we do want to be making pretty regular forward progress. I'm just going to click into Unit 10. Basically, some of the early early steps in the actual writing process. So thinking about an outline, some reminders just in terms of like tone and content here, stuff that is remarked on early in the course. I might have remarked in writing that you've already done. And then another discussion board opportunity to post something a little more substantial about your topic. So it should be a pretty good thesis at this point. You're obviously knowing what themes you're interested in, what either characters or works that you're looking at, or just work if you're covering just one, like Death of a Salesman. So again, Units 9 and 10, just really getting that momentum, getting the ball rolling as we get towards the end of the course. Okay, one topic-related thing that I want to draw people's attention to. When it comes to Death of a Salesman, often if you do any kind of research at all, if you Google it, if you look even at more credible sources through the databases, one of the things that you're going to find is that the American dream as a theme shows up almost, without fail, regardless of where you look. And some of you might have been thinking already along the lines of pursuing the American dream as a topic in Death of a Salesman. I'm going to tell you flat out, don't do that theme. for two reasons, or really for one reason, but there's a caveat to it. The reason primarily is that that idea has become so cliched and kind of worn out and overused that it almost means so much it means nothing. So we use the phrase, oh, the American dream and death of a salesman, as if we all kind of know what that means, or it's a concrete kind of concept that's just sort of, stable and well defined, but none of those things is true. So don't use the phrase or the idea, the American dream, in Death of a Salesman, even though I know you're going to run into it over and over in research and secondary sources. It's just too cliche, too worn out, too abstract, even though it sounds kind of concrete, to be very productive for us. So the caveat, or the good news, is that even if you had been thinking and used the phrase, right, American dream, what I want you to do is just reword that and think, what specifically is it about that concept that you really want to get at? Is it ideas of success? Is it ideas of what it means to be respected, which is a huge kind of issue for Willy Loman. In fact, a lot of people think that what he wants fundamentally is just money or wealth. But actually, the only time he expresses interest in money or wealth or possessions or things is only because they represent sort of status, which again is another much more useful sort of particular theme or idea that you could pursue. That, if you're interested in the American dream, that could become the idea of status in Death of a Salesman. And all of a sudden it's much more concrete. There's more kind of examples that you can pull directly. You're able to speak in much more precise and concise and again concrete terms than this much more amorphous and abstract phrase, the American dream. So again, Willie's desire for money or possessions is always not so much about the thing, but just as evidence of his status, of his being respected, of his being well known. There's actually this element of celebrity in Death of a Salesman that Willie's really caught up in, that was just really beginning to form in the time period that Arthur Miller wrote the play, in the way that we know of celebrity now. So in fact, that particular theme has actually become more applicable, now, as opposed to when the play was initially written, and certainly when it was set. But this notion of just being known, of having your name out there, it's so familiar to us now. God, watch TV, and it's all about that cult of celebrity. Anyway, I'm starting to lose my voice, so I'll sign off for now. But just a reminder, stay away from the American dream as a phrase that you want to use. But that doesn't mean that you couldn't pursue a much more concrete, sort of specific idea along those same lines. Status, celebrity, being respected or being known. All of those things might be part of that larger kind of American dream idea, but give you a much more focused and concrete idea to work with. Okay, and like I said, if you are having topic issues, or even if you think you got a great topic, you can just want to run it by me, by all means be in touch sooner rather than later, and more often rather than, holding off or not wanting to be in touch too much. There's really no such thing. So hopefully I'll talk to everybody soon. I look forward to seeing people's various topics as they're posted on our discussion boards as well.